Reassembling of VST Shakti power tiller. First, let's look for reassembling of engine. Sub-assembly of oil pan. First, clean and wash the oil pan and let it be dry. After ensuring the right matching of bolting hole and oil hole, fix the gasket properly onto it. In other place also, do not hurry for fixing gasket. Rather, do it very carefully. After cleaning the oil screen, match two numbers of 612 bolt into the hole of oil pan and tight it with spring washer. Then cover it with an O-ring. Apply a lock wire to fix the cover as the cover became tight. Sub-assembly of crankcase. Crankcase are two types such as DI and Term 3. They are very similar in looking, but dimensionally 0.5 mm in overall length in Term 3 compared with DI. Let's know the differences. In Term 3, crankcase front side, fuel filter fixing side is half polished like T-shape, but in DI crankcase, front is fully polished. Secondly, in Term 3, crankcase right side top corner is engraved by T mark, but in DI crankcase it is engraved by D mark. Wash the crankcase neatly. Then fit 3 knock bushes, pin groove and right side gasket. Then fit the soft idler gear to it. Please note that during fitting, the oil hole of the shaft must be remaining downwards and the half cut position must remain upwards. Now apply grease on the gasket of oil pan and fit the oil pan to the crankcase matching the oil hole. And tight with 6 number of 820 bolt and with spring washer. Then fit the plug drain with 2 washer seal. Clean the cylinder liner. Apply grease on the O-ring fixing place and fix 2 O-rings to it. Please remove or wipe excess grease from it. The O-ring sitting area and liner collar area on crankcase should be cleaned and greased properly. Then fit the liner cylinder. Note that hammer should not be used during the fitting of cylinder liner. Please take the help of cylinder head to press the cylinder liner so that there will not be any destruction of O-rings. Cross tight the head bolt in such a way that the cylinder liner will get fixed properly into the crankcase. Now fix the crankcase in the assembly stand for further assembly of engine. Clean the 2 tappets and fix it in the crankcase. Sub-assembly of crankshaft. Clean the crankshaft properly and ensure that the oil hole of the crankshaft is cleaned. please fit the NUP 310 bearing on the side where the gear crankshaft is fitted to the crankshaft. Then fix the gear crankshaft with key sunk, and on the other side fit the inside cone of the NJ310 roller bearing. Apply oil on the bearing sitting place of the crankcase and fit the sub-assembled crankshaft, and to be ensured that the crankshaft fitted properly. Fix the bearing stopper plate with 8 16-bolt spring washer. Then apply the oil to NJ310 bearing and fit it. Sub-assembly of cover right side. After cleaning of right side cover, fit both the oil seal MM310400 front to front in such a manner that the oil hole must not be closed. Then fit the oil seal. After that, fit the retainer oil seal. For the fitting of oil pressure relief valve on right side cover, first fit the steel ball and spring, then lock it. Fit 2 connectors for oil pipes. Now apply grease on the right side cover of crankcase. Then fit the cover right side. Sub-assembly with crankcase. Then fit the oil pump rotor inner and outer in such a way that the taper portion of the rotor should be placed inside, and apply oil in it properly. Then fit the O-ring and fix cover rotor with 3 numbers of volt 845 volt with spring washer. Then fit other right side cover securing fastener, 4 numbers of 825, 3 numbers of 835 and 1 840 bolt with spring washer. Never forget to fit the stay cover support, flywheel cover. Now fit both the oil pipe connecting rocker cover and oil signal. Fit key wood rough. Fix the flywheel sub-assembly to the crankshaft and tight with plain washer, spring washer and 1 nut each. Camshaft of DI and term 3 are different. The only difference in between the two is in the profile of FI pump lobe. In term 3 it looks like a shape of egg shape and DI looks like mango shape. Also note that the lobe of the term 3 slightly smaller in size in compare with DI. Then clean the camshaft sub-assembly and fit it after proper oiling. Fill up 750 ml SAE 20W40 grade VST Shakti engine oil in the crankcase and rotate the camshaft with clockwise direction, and observe whether an appropriate quantity of oil is coming out or not. If proper quantity of oil is coming, we will be sure that the oil pump is functioning alright. Subassembly of balancer shaft A. First, fit the 6205 ball bearing on the shaft balancer on one side and 6208 bearing on the other side. Then fit the balancer shaft gear B after fitting a key sunk. Subassembly of balancer shaft B. In the above same way, fit the 6205 and 6208 bearings with the balancer shaft. First, fit the key sunk and then fit the gear C balancer and gear A balancer. Remember, fit the gears in such a manner that the numbers for timing setting written on the gears should be remain on outside. Now, fit the idler gear and balancer shaft B sub-assembly together in such a way that the gear C balancer number 1 should match with idler gear number. Like this, 2 marks of crankshaft gear match with 2 mark of gear idler and 3 mark of gear camshaft match with 3 mark of gear idler. Then fit the distance piece and snap ring to the shaft idler gear piece. Recheck the entire gear setting again. Then fit the balancer shaft A in previous manner that mark 1 of balancer shaft A should match with the 1 mark of balancer shaft B. Fit the governor weight with 2 numbers of 6, 12 bolt and spring washer. Push shaft governor into the crankshaft gear. Then rotate the flywheel with hand and observe the functions. Remember that during rotation of flywheel, the timing of gears should match after 14 rounds. Subassembly of gear case. The gear case of DI and Term 3 are different. The only difference is Term 3 will have provision of fuel adjuster, but there is no such provision in DI gear case. Let us see the sub-assembly of gear case. First, clean the gear case neatly and fit a starting shaft oil seal. Then fit starting shaft, key sunk and starting gear respectively. Fit a snap ring on it. Fit the governor shaft and set screw with plain washer, then tight it. Then observe whether the shaft is rotating freely or not. Then fit the lever governor A with 6 mm bolt and spring washer. Ensure that the air breather hole is clean. Fix a packing under the body of air breather. Give a packing under the cover air breather, then fix the valve air breather on the air breather body. Then apply some grease on the cover air breather packing and tight it with 4 numbers of 6/16 bolt with spring washer. Then fit the fuel injection pump assembly with 3 numbers of 825 bolt and spring washer. During the fitting of fuel injection pump, the adjuster seams must be based to match the pump timing. If it is a Term 3 gear case, then fit a fuel adjuster to it without any tempering the adjuster. Now take the gear case sub-assembly. Apply grease to the gasket surface area of the gear case and fit it with an 835 bolt, 4 numbers of 850 bolt, 2 numbers of 855 bolt and 2 numbers of 870 bolts. For the fitting of signal oil, fit the distance piece assembly with lock, then fit the governance spring and fit the bolt eye with two gaskets on either sides and fit the oil pipe and signal oil respectively. Now let us watch the fitting of piston with connecting rod. Clean all the parts properly. Fit the snap ring to one side of the piston. Apply oil on the piston pin and connecting rod. Push the piston pin from one side of the piston to the other side of the piston through the small end of the connecting rod and fit the snap ring in the other side of the piston. The arrow mark on the piston should remain upper side. It must match with the small end oil hole of the connecting rod. For fitting of piston ring, first invert the piston and fit the oil ring to its lower side. Then fit the oil ring, oil scraper ring, then second compressor ring and then first chrome compressor ring at the top. It can also be fitted with the help of thread without a ring expander. Also, should explain the top chrome is keystone type. Hence, check directly will not enter. Then arrange the rings closed gap or butting gap in such a way that they face towards the opposite direction of the adjacent ring. Also, ensure that rings closed gap, butting gap not in the direction of piston pin. Now clean the connecting rod and metal big end neatly and apply oil and then fit them. Then apply oil on the cylinder liner and place the crankshaft properly on it and push the piston assembled with rings with the help of ring compressor and the wooden handle of a hammer. Fit the connecting rod cap with the connecting rod and tight the bolt for about 5 to 5.5 kg per meter. The batch number on both the halves of the connecting rod should remain matched. The batch and oil hole of the connecting rod should remain on the upper side. Please check the function of oil circulation by cranking. It will ensure you to know whether the oil pressure is okay or not. Sub-assembly of cylinder head. Cylinder head of DI and Term 3 are different from its shape, size and components, but the mode of sub-assembly procedure is same. Clean the cylinder head and fit the valve stem seal on the valve guide. The sitting places of both the valves are according to their size. Fit valve spring into the intake and exhaust valves after ensuring the right tension of the spring. Place the retainer valve spring on it and fit lock retainer to it and apply pressure by the help of tool. Ensure its secureness by beating valve using the mallet for 2 to 3 times. Make the assembly total dry by cleaning with cloths and check valve leakage by putting kerosene oil into the inlet and exhaust port or passage of the head. For the fitting of cylinder head, first place the head gasket keeping the top mark towards head over the crankcase and fit cylinder head on it. Then tight the head bolt up to 12 to 13 kg per meter. At the time of torque, it must be tightened sequentially opposite to opposite cross, tightening the head bolt, otherwise it may be damaged to the liner cylinder. Apply oil on push rod and insert it. Fit both the rocker arm sub-assembling with bolt and spring washer and tight it. Adjust the valve clearance for Term 3 engine, inlet valve 0.40 mm and exhaust valve adjust 0.45 mm, and for DI engine 0.35 mm for both the valves. Keeping the flywheel at the mark of TDC point in compressor stroke. Rocker cover sub-assembly. Rocker cover of DI and Term 3 are different. Let us see the assembly of DI. First, clean the rocker cover. Fix the lever decompressor into decompressor shaft. Apply a little oil or grease to it. And fit the return spring in the cover. And fit the spring lock to keep the decompressor in its place. Fit a lock to it. Fit the compressor adjusting screw and lock nut. The decompressor cover is fitted later on because it is adjusted manually. Let us know the difference in sub-assembly of Term 3 rocker cover. Fixed on rocker cover sub-assembly. Fit the oil pipe and tight the rocker cover with 4 numbers of 820 bolts. Adjust the decompressor. Fit the nozzle assembly. Fit pipe fuel injection with fuel injection pump and nozzle. Nozzle pressure testing is required at the time of reassemble. Also at periodic intervals. Nozzle pressure for DI engine is 220 plus 5 kg per centimeter square. For Term 3 engine, it is 250 plus 8 kg per centimeter square. Apply grease on the packing of upper cover and fit 6 number of 616 bolts with spring washer and tight it. Now the engine becomes covered from all the direction. Fit hanger stud to the crankcase of the engine. Let us know the fitting of radiator. Apply grease on packing of radiator and fit it with 3 plates on 3 sides and tight with 12 numbers of 820 bolts with spring washer. Cooling fan sub-assembly. First of all, fit coil to the fan duct. Then fit a 6301ZZ ball bearing. Then the spacer and fit another 6301ZZ ball bearing. Tight the plate retainer with 4 number of 4/8 screw with spring washer. Fit the fan shaft with key wood rough to the fan. Then fit the dust cover on the other side. Then fix another key wood rough on the other side of the fan shaft. And fit a V pulley, then tight it with 12 mm nut with spring washer. Cooling fan with 2 numbers of 820 bolts and 2 numbers of 620 bolts and spring washer. Idler pulley sub-assembly. Fix a pulley idler into lever idler and then fix one 6202ZZ ball bearing and lock it with a snap ring. After proper greasing, cover it with a packing. Then fix one lock nut to the adjusting full thread 865 bolt to the idler pulley lever. And then fit the idler pulley assembly to the crankcase with a 1040 bolt with spring washer. Fit the A38 fan belt to the engine and adjust the belt tension up to 1 inch. And tight the sitting bolt properly. Fuel system. Fit a inlet fuel pipe and an overflow pipe to the fuel tank. Connect the other end of overflow pipe to the nozzle. Fit a fuel filter and fix it with 2 numbers of 820 bolts and spring washer. And fit 3 numbers of 8 125 bolts plain washer with spring washer on the back side of the fuel tank. Connect the fuel pipe inlet with the fuel filter through a banjo bolt and washer seal. Then fit one outlet pipe with the FI pump with hollow screw and washer seal both sides. Now pour diesel through the fuel strainer and open the airlock. Pour clean water into the radiator. If the engine have coolant sub-tank in its coolant system, then pour 3:1 ratio distilled water and servo cool mixed coolant to fill up and fit the overflow pipe. Fit the radiator cover over condenser, then hanger, then radiator cap. Then pour 20W40 VST Shakti engine oil to the crankcase up to the dipstick upper level. Fit the headlight with 4 numbers of 6/16 bolt and plain washer after proper setting the headlight with its cover. Intake manifold are different for DI and Term 3. DI manifold must be fitted along with a swivel plate into the head. The intake manifold air passage hole found to be in round shape, but in Term 3 the intake manifold air passage hole found to be square in shape, and it does not require swivel plate. For fitting of air cleaner, first fix the gasket on the intake manifold. Apply a thin film of grease on every packing. Then fit it by 3 numbers of 835 bolt with plain washer and spring washer. Pour 20W40 VST Shakti servo engine oil up to the mark on the air cleaner oil bowl. Fit the muffler with 3 numbers of 10-20 bolts with spring washer. Fit the engine pulley with 3 10-30 bolt washer. Then fit the cover of governor assembly. Pump timing is important in fuel system. Procedure for setting. First, open the holder of delivery valve from fuel injection pump, and after separating valve portion from the delivery valve, reassemble the pump again. Then open the fuel cock and watch that fuel bleeding is continuous from pump delivery valve holder. Then rotate the flywheel clockwise slowly till fuel bleeding stop. At this point, check matching of pump timing mark on the flywheel. If it matches, means that the pump timing is okay. If it is stopped before or after PT mark, then adjust the pump by fixing of additional or removal of shims. Second alternate procedure for adjusting pump timing by help of a depth gauge. Take the bottom dead center depth limit of pump manufacturers and measure it from gear case to camshaft BDC point. If required, add or remove the adjusting shims for exact depth. The cranking found hard or tight is required to adjust the decompressor screw of decompressor shaft for smooth starting. For Term 3 power tiller, it is required to lose the decompressor nut and adjust the decompressor holder and lock it. Then hold the decompressor lever and rotate the engine slowly for about 10 to 20 rotation after the circulation of engine oil in the engine. Rotate it speedily and leave the decompressor lever to start the engine. Let's see the assembly of gearbox and rotary. Gearbox model CT85. case transmission properly and fit chassis stud and pin dual. Clean the case final drive, both LH and RH, and fix a packing. Then apply thin film of grease and fit to the case transmission. Fit a 1225 bolt socket and a 1018 bolt with spring washer to the inner side of final drive case and 3 1230 bolt with spring washer and 3 numbers of drain bolt with packing on the outer side of case final drive. Shaft final drive fitting. Fit the 16206 and 16205 bearing to the shaft final. Then fit the shaft final drive to the transmission case. Place the spacer over the final drive shaft from inside of transmission case and then final drive gear 45 teeth and the circlip or snap ring. Similar way to be done for the other side. Axle and final case cover assembly. Clean the final case cover and fix the packing. Apply grease to the both oil seal sitting places and fit the both oil seal. In the axle shaft, fix the 4-wheel stud within nut. Put the axle into the cover final and fit the 6208 bearing and a spacer B, then fit the axle gear 49 teeth. Then place the spacer A over the axle shaft and lock it with snap ring. Then fit the 6206 bearing to the axle shaft and lock it with a snap ring. Similar way to be done for the other side. Now identify the LH and RH axle with cover final drive assembly. Fit the LH and RH cover final drive over the case final drive respectively with packing by 7 numbers of 1025 bolts and spring washer. Steering clutch or side clutch. First, clean the shaft side clutch and fit with the gears 39 teeth by ensuring the having thicker claw in right side and then fix a ring to it. Then take 2 numbers of clutch side 17 teeth and fit them on both the sides. Now fit the O-ring in both the left and right yoke side clutch and fit them left and right side respectively. You should fit the left side yoke first before you fit the right side yoke. Both the LH and RH side clutch springs are look alike, but they are different. It can easily identify by if the spring is turned from top to bottom anti-clockwise, known as left side. If it turned clockwise direction, you know that the said spring is right side. Then fix up both spring side, clutch spring each side respectively. Then put a spacer on the spring and fit one 6304 bearing each side. Then fix packing and apply grease to both LH and RH covered side clutch. Then fit the covered side clutch with 3 numbers 6, 16 bolt and spring washer. Clean the cover front mission and fix packing a thin film of grease. Then fit it with 6 numbers 6, 16 bolt and spring washer. First, fix the key sunk to the yoke and then fit lever side clutch left and right. Then put piece end to the lever and lock it by a split pin. Let us see the submission shaft fitting. Put a spacer on the right side of the shaft and fit a 6204 bearing to it. Place a ring set to the gear submission shaft 18 teeth. Insert the shaft 18 teeth with brake shoe from the right side of the gearbox. Then fit gear submission 1935 teeth to it with brake shoe. Then put a spacer and fit a bearing on the left side. Main shaft fitting. First, fit a 6004 bearing to the one side of gear main shaft driving 1422 teeth. Then put a spacer and fit another 6004 bearing to the other side. Now fit gear main shaft during to the main shaft. Then put a spacer and fit a LS8 bearing. Put a sleeve with ring set. Now fit the main shaft to the gearbox from its left side. Fit second gear drive 28 teeth and the gear main shaft first on the right side of the shaft fitted with ring set. Then put a spacer and a 6304 bearing on the right side. Back shaft fitting. Fit a 620 stud to back shaft and insert it from the left side towards the right side. Give a spacer and then fit the gear back shaft 20-23 teeth. Put a spacer on the right side of the shaft and fix it to the transmission case. Then give a spacer in between the gap of transmission case and shaft in such a manner that stud must remain on the lower portion and bush must remain inside the gear back shaft. Shaft intermediate. Fit the 6205 bearing on the left side of the PTO shaft and put it inside the gearbox from left towards right side. Then put a small spacer and fit the rotary gear driver 27 teeth. Then put another big spacer and fit the gear intermediate 24 teeth. Then fit 6205 bearing on the right side of gearbox. Remember, while fitting on both the gear, plane shape should be on left side and height shape should remain on right side. Fitting of counter shaft. First, fit a second gear drive 25 teeth to the gear counter shaft 31 teeth with a stopper and tight with 3 numbers of 625 bolt and lock it. Fix a bearing 6304 to the shaft and insert it from the right side of the gearbox. Then fit first gear counter shaft 20 teeth into it and put an O-ring to the gear counter shaft assembly. Then put a spacer and a 6204 bearing on the left side. Rotary mission shaft fitting. Fit 6305 ball bearing to the left side of rotary shaft and set in the transmission case and fit the gear. Rotary change 1823 teeth. Then fit ringside to the gear rotary driven 26 teeth. On the other side, fit the 6305 ball bearing. Now, let's look at the function of gears. Fix a packing to side cover and apply a thin film of grease and fit by one 8/16 bolt and 5 6/16 bolt with spring washer. Fork and fork shaft fitting. Fork tool is required for fitting of fork. First, set the fork tool to the one side of fork and push fork shaft to the other side of fork. Then, fix a spring and a steel ball to the spring holder. Then, press the ball inside by a 5 mm Allen key and immediately joint. Fork tool and fork shaft at the time of sudden ejection of Allen key. First, fit the submission fork with soft submission fork as per perfect adjustment. Secondly, take the main shaft fork and shaft, then attach with a collar and screw set firmly tied by a steel wire. Accordingly, fit the fork, counter shaft with shaft, counter shaft fork as per previous procedure. Lastly, fix the guide plate with the frog rotary shaft and then fix it as before. Then for the attachment of stopper assembly, fix lock plate with 2 numbers 820 bolt and lock it tightly. Here, the chain case attachment to transmission case should appear. Pulley shaft fitting. Clean the pulley shaft and fix the 6305 bearing. Give collar and spacer, then fix the sprocket and then give the spacer and fit the bearing 6204. Chain fitting. Clean the chain and fix it with the help of pulley shaft and lock it. Fit the bracket with spring tension, then fix a packing and fit with 2 numbers of 1025 bolt with spring washer. At the right side of the pulley shaft, fit pulley shaft bracket with 4 numbers 6/16 screw and spring spring washer. So also in other side. Fix housing with oil seal, apply packing and a spacer, then fit it with 3 numbers 620 socket head and tooth washer and tight it. Fit the clutch rod A and the cam clutch with cover. Fit the release bearing and spacer with shifter clutch and spacer, then fit it to the shaft. Main clutch fitting. Fit 2 numbers of 6204ZZ bearing to the V pulley. Then lock it by a snap ring. Keep 8 number small spring in peg clutch compressor. Fit hub clutch by giving 4 numbers of 620 bolts and spring washer with plate clutch driven A. Place clutch driven B and clutch facing 1 by 1 and keep it on the plate compressor. By holding 2 studs, keep the full set in the V pulley. Keep 4 numbers of spring holder and put 4 numbers of clutch spring in the spring holder. Fit the nut lock and a nut adjust. Now adjust the clutch in the pulley shaft. As such, nut adjust will maintain same height and touches to the shifter clutch. On the other side, 1 mm pulley shaft slot will be shown. Then tight all the lock nut. Check once again. Give the spacer on the 6204ZZ bearing fitted in the V pulley. Then fix a plate and a cover. Then fix with screw and spring washer. Now place the clutch assembly in the pulley shaft. Put a plain washer and tight it with nut slotted, then lock it by a split pin, then covered by outer clutch cover. Fit 2 numbers of shifter lever in the upper cover and by fixing packing it, then grease to fit it above the gearbox. Now check the shifter. Then fix the inspection cover, then fix it with screw and spring washer. Now our gearbox assembly is finished. Now let's look at the function of gears. Rotary assembly. Fix the oil seal and packing on two sides of arm supporting right. Fit the bearing 6305 with rotary driven shaft, then attach it with rotary connecting case. Then fix a small distance piece and gear rotary second speed 36 teeth. Then fix a big spacer and fix the gear rotary speed 41 teeth. Then fit the bearing 6205 and lock it by a snap ring. Finally, fit the cap with O-ring on the left side. Fit the both arm supporting left and right with the rotary connecting case, then fix with 4 numbers of 1230 bolt, each with lock washer. Fit the case rotary side. Fix the O-ring to the chain adjuster shaft of chain adjuster with the case rotary chain. Fix the both oil seal to the chain case and fix it to the left arm supporting. Then fit one number of 6306 bearing on the upper side of the chain case. Rotary shaft sub-assembly. First, clean the rotary shaft and put spacer on both the sides. Apply grease into the distance piece and fit an O-ring into it. Put a snap ring into the bearing case and fit both oil seal to it. Put the bearing case in the rotary shaft and fit one 6206 ZZ bearing. Then put a distance piece and fit with a lock washer and nut and lock it. Apply grease properly in the bearing case. Fix packing in the cover bearing case and fix it with 3 numbers of 610 screw with spring washer. If packing is not available, then you can put one more oil seal and O-ring to the front distance piece and fit as stated earlier. After the rotary shaft is ready, connect rotary shaft to the chain case and fit the rotary bearing case in the case rotary side with 3 numbers of 12 mm bolt and spring washer. On the other side, fix washer in the chain case and fit 6306 bearing. Clean the chain and fit 12 teeth sprocket and 14 teeth sprocket all along to the rotary driven by rotary shaft, then fit with lock washer and lock nut. After proper tight, lock the lock washer and then adjust the chain. Then fit the chain case cover with a packing and proper greasing with 14 numbers of 612 bolts with spring washer. Then fix tines in the rotary shaft as per your requirement. Tines are two types such as straight tines and bent tines. Straight tines generally used for dry land cultivation, and bent tines are two types such as left and right bent side, having 9 numbers each, generally used for wet puddling. Fit wheels to the axle shaft and fit the chassis on the front side. Then set the engine over the chassis. Fit the left and right handle to the chassis handle. Set 2-number side clutch lever in both sides of the handle and put bearing harness, throttle cable and fit cable side clutch. While fitting of side clutch cable, it should be connected crossly to the side clutch lever. Then fit the handle chassis on the gearbox. Adjust the clutch cable up to 2 mm. Let's look the function of side clutch. Fix seat rubber to the rotary cover. Then fit the tail wheel and stay handle. Fit the cover side both sides, left and right. Fit 3 V belt B67. Adjust about half-inch tension. Tight the engine firmly. Fit the V belt cover. Pour the gear oil 5.5 liter and 0.5 liter SAE 90 grade into the gearbox and rotary chain case respectively. In new DI power tiller, gear oil to be filled in bracket of spring tension in main chain case, but in old DI is to be filling in the top of chassis handle. Now clean the power tiller with a clean dry cloth. If there is any leakage or problem is found, then repair it soon. Now our power tiller is ready to use on field. Thanks.